Relations between India and Pakistan are a somewhat entangled affair. Rather like at first glance the turban donned by Sikh men. Amandeep Singh is curious to know what happens when an Indian Sikh like himself travels to Pakistan. He's decided to embark on a pilgrimage, and for the first time in his life, cross the border via the new Kartarpur corridor.
I am a Sikh, I'm a born Sikh. So visiting my Guru's place, it is like as a Muslim is visiting a Mecca.
For Amandeep, the journey is also a sentimental one, visiting the homeland of his ancestors and to the other half of his culture, split in two by the partition of India and Pakistan in 1947. A former Indian consul general to Pakistan explains.
Kartarpur is very, very, I can't stress it more, very, very, very important to them. And don't forget that it is probably the Sikhs who suffered the most at partition, the Sikhs who lost the most at partition, and the Sikhs also who retaliated the most at partition.
How did the tiny minority of Sikhs become such an important political issue for the two powerful nations? Will Kartarpur change anything for the Sikhs? Could it be a testing ground for peace between India and Pakistan more than 70 years after their partition? As we travel through India and Pakistani Punjab, we come across new hopes and fears. The new border crossing is located just a few hours' drive south of Kashmir, the region India and Pakistan have fought 2 wars over since their foundation, and where they remain on a hostile footing with each other. But here on the ground in Punjab, at the entrance to the Kartarpur corridor, the mood is currently a peaceful, even relaxed one. The Indian subcontinent is home to over 1.5 billion people. 20 million of them are Sikhs. Most of them, like Amandeep, live in the Punjab, a region that was torn apart by the partition of India and Pakistan. For more than 70 years, there was only one border crossing. But now there's a new one, Kartarpur. Amandeep makes his final preparations for a journey that he expects will change his world.
I'm using the opportunity to Kartarpur sub-corridor is bringing peace in the South Asia, which is definitely peace for the world.
Amandeep Singh has seen a lot of the world. He spent a number of years in Birmingham, England, and has also traveled extensively across India and to Dubai. But this is his first trip as a politically conscious pilgrim. For this purpose, the dentist has transformed his small car into a kind of ambassador's vehicle. He's joined on this expedition to their unfamiliar larger neighbor by his wife, Kirat. Amandeep conducts one last online check before setting off.
A video on the Kartarpur Sahib corridor.
The Kartarpur corridor, 4 kilometers of freshly paved road. For Indian Sikhs, a new highway to a holy site. It leads to Kartarpur Sahib in Pakistan, the world's largest Sikh temple. It's where the founder of their religion, Guru Nanak, spent the last years of his life in the 16th century and is now buried. It's a place that every Sikh wants to visit once in their life. The first group of pilgrims set out for Kartarpur, also known as Darbar Sahib, in November 2019. The date on which the corridor was inaugurated was no coincidence. November 9th, the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. It was opened on the Indian side by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And, almost at the same time, but not in the same place, by his Pakistani counterpart, Imran Khan. It had been almost 20 years since plans for such a corridor were first proposed by then Indian Premier Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And it's in that spirit of peace that Amandeep and Kirat are now making their trip. They were both born in Punjab, not far from where they now live in Ludhiana. They're making the trip on behalf of their respective families and are among the first to have been granted permission to go to Kartarpur.
I'm excited. I'm just living the moment. I saw many videos, many pictures, many people going across. But to me, visiting that place will be a divine feeling.
Basically, I'm a Hindu girl. I born in a Hindu religion. I'm married to a Sikh. Married in a Sikh family and going to a Muslim country.
Their journey takes them through the Indian part of the Punjab, the breadbasket of India, and the only Indian state where Sikhs comprise the majority population. The rural, even romantic region is home to 18 of the 20 million Indian Sikhs. As well as Amandeep and Kirat, pilgrims from within Pakistan are also underway. On Sikh holidays, believers are required to visit a temple, or Gurdwara, ideally one of the especially holy places like Nankana Sahib, birthplace of the religion's founder, Guru Nanak. Nankana Sahib lies a good 3-hour drive away from Kartarpur. This is where Pupinder Singh lives and works.
मैं उस परिवार दे नाल ताल्लुक रखदा वां
I belong to the first Sikh family who migrated here after 1947. My grandfather and his 2 brothers were the first ones to come, although Sikh families had moved from here to India during the partition. At that time, it was difficult for a Pakistani Sikh with a turban to live here.
Today, Pakistan has an estimated Sikh population of just 20,000 in a country of 220 million Muslims. 28-year-old Pupinder has strong thoughts about the country's partition over 70 years ago.
I could see our Indian Singh brothers on the other side. They would look at the Gurdwara through binoculars. That was their way of paying respect and homage to the shrine. For just a single glimpse of the temple, these people traveled thousands of kilometers across India.
We accompany Singh through the Pakistani Punjab to Nankana Sahib, where a sense of tradition meets a more future-oriented outlook, as typified by Singh. The tools of his trade are a laptop and camera. He's a YouTube videographer with a very specific target audience.
The team behind the Punjabi Lehar YouTube channel are trying to increase the love between Pakistan and India because they have so much in common. We don't understand the reasons for the hate between the 2 nations.
The temple of Nankana Sahib is Singh's favorite filming location. His videos provide an insight into the Sikh religious service. On feast days, a ceremonial reader, or granthi, carries the holy book into the temple on his head, an expression of respect, together with the ceremonial fan.
Sikh means someone who learns. In Sikhism, there is one God. He is the Almighty and the Creator and Lord over everything. He is infinite and the Supreme God. He is the God of truth, and He takes care of all living things.
Women have equal rights in the Sikh religion, and there is no caste system as in Hinduism. The belief in one God and one book of faith is a concept also familiar to Muslims, while Hindus recognize the notion of gurus sat beneath sacred trees. Guru Nanak adopted a range of ideas from the great religions he was surrounded by, but also added his own, notably the 3 basic principles: praying and thinking of God, earning a living by honest means, and sharing the fruits of one's labor with others. That's why Sikh temples all offer free food and drink to visitors, regardless of their religious affiliation. Those who work hard and are eager to share tend to make friends. This is perhaps another reason for the growing social presence of Sikhs in Pakistan.
Over the last 20 years, we Sikhs gradually started to become more prominent in society, as you can see in my own family. Some of us are in the army, Some are professors, doctors, engineers, and one of our boys is in the Rangers. This created a sense of pride amongst us, and now you can see Sikhs represented in every field here, even though we're among the smallest minorities in the country.
The temple next door has been draped in a special show of lights to celebrate Guru Nanak's birthday. Here we meet one of Pupinder's relatives, who has also enjoyed professional success. Mahinder Pall Singh, who's a proud member of the Provincial Assembly of Punjab.
I am the sole Sikh parliamentarian in Pakistan. There's nothing better than being born in the same place where Sikhism was born and our religion began. I'm so proud of that.
For Mahinder, the Kartarpur corridor is the fruit of joint efforts at a political and religious level.
Kartarpur corridor is not a recent idea. It's the result of many decades of prayers by us Sikhs.
In the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, religious tolerance is far from a given. Mahinder looks to the good example set by his fellow believers.
Now Sikhs from all over the world are kind of ambassadors for Pakistan. And when they see the love and respect they receive from us, they will then know that we are a loving and peaceful nation.
Like all Sikh temples, this one is funded primarily via donations. The money increasingly comes from the US, Canada, and Britain, where the majority of Sikhs outside the Indian subcontinent live. But it's the stance of Indian Sikhs that is decisive for the region.
When our Indian visitors go back, they will take away the message, enough. Violence or fighting resolves nothing. We have to sit together and talk. And for that reason, the Kartarpur corridor will become the Kartarpur Peace Corridor.
In New Delhi, veteran foreign policy expert Shankar Alyar attributes this primarily to the Sikhs in Pakistan.
This is a symbol of the importance that Pakistan attaches to reconciling at least the Sikh community with them. And don't forget that it is probably the Sikhs who suffered the most at partition, the Sikhs who lost the most at partition, and the Sikhs also who retaliated the most at partition.
The history of the Sikhs is one of glory and misery, triumphs and defeats, of suffering and inflicting pain. And nowhere is this legacy more visible or tangible than in Amritsar, the cradle of Sikh culture in Indian Punjab. Amandeep and his wife stopped off to visit his brother who lives nearby, and now have their niece with them to visit the first and only partition museum on the Indian subcontinent. The museum was opened in 2017 in the town hall of Amritsar to mark the 70th anniversary of partition. Most of the collection comprises photos and memorabilia of people directly affected by the partition. Ruins and life-size replicas bear witness to the victims and give visitors a very physical and emotional impression of the suffering.
40% of the population, uprooted completely from both the sides. People lost their lives, their earnings. It's been 70 years and wounds are not healed.
In June 1947, the British had agreed to separate Muslim Pakistan from the predominantly Hindu India and grant the two nations independence, barely 3 months later.
British wanted to rule here, so it was their policy to divide us. It is one of the blackest chapter in the colonial rule. Till now, we meet people who survived that day, and even expecting the apology from British Parliament.
Up until the very last minute, the British left open exactly where the border would run. The Radcliffe Line, named after the British chairman of the Boundary Committee, was drawn in an arbitrary manner. with dramatic consequences.
The independence at that time was like a disease in Punjab. It was like a plague. Immediately we started losing people. That's the sad part. I mean, whenever Independence Day comes, at least being a Punjabi, I cannot relate myself with the celebration because I cannot ignore this part. I cannot ignore the suffering.
The enforced population transfers in the provinces of Punjab and Bengal were unprecedented, with up to 20 million displaced persons and 1 million dead. There are no exact figures, only bitter memories of the past and fears for the future.
Visiting this museum, bringing fear in my heart. I mean, I'm comparing that 1947 moment with today, and same thing is happening today as well. We should try to do something so that nothing terrible happen again.
What Amandeep is referring to is the other element of Indo-Pakistani division, Kashmir. The region has a predominantly Muslim population with a large Hindu minority, and both countries continue to press claims to the entire territory. A visit to the museum provides an alternative perspective of the present.
Whatever party comes into power, they really want the narratives on the history from their point of view. I read the history, but when I'm coming to a museum in this age, I'm watching many new things, and that's terrible. Our generation should be told about the mistakes at the earliest stage.
In the Partition Museum, the thorny tree representing relations between India and Pakistan has leaves bearing friendly wishes. But Kirat has also experienced a less promising state of affairs.
History is being changed. I am a teacher, and each year courses and the syllabuses are being changed, especially history books, by replacing chapters in them.
Just a 10-minute walk away from the sobering Partition Museum is a truly resplendent sight, and one intimately connected to the history of the Sikhs, the Golden Temple of Amritsar, their holiest site on Indian soil. It dates from the 16th and 17th centuries. In modern times, it was the site of a traumatic event that has been etched into the memory of Sikhs.
In 1984, there was a massacre, a genocide, a killing of an entire generation of Sikhs in Delhi. After that, even to this day, we were advised not to talk about it, to move forward, to move on.
In 1984, Sikhs wanted to create their own state of Khalistan, independent of India, with Amritsar as its capital. Fearing further independence movements, the then Indian Prime Minister, Indira Gandhi, ordered the army to storm the temple to dislodge Sikh extremists who had been using it as a refuge. Around 500 Sikhs died in the ensuing gunfire. A few weeks later, Indira Gandhi was murdered by 2 Sikh bodyguards. Anti-Sikh pogroms broke out, and hundreds of innocent civilians were killed. Those responsible were eventually sentenced over 30 years after the crime.
We used to look at the ruins left by the massacre and think, did this actually happen in an independent and free India? Were we not part of India? Why did it have to come to that? And later on, we gradually tried to dig for more information, but we did not find any answers.
For Sikhs, the Golden Temple in Amritsar will always be associated with mixed feelings and bitter memories of the storming by the Indian Army.
It was certainly the most dark stain on independent India and on the Congress Party and on the Rajiv Gandhi government, from which, despite apologies that have been tendered subsequently, it will be difficult for any historian to say the stain has been wiped out.
After taking some valuable history lessons on board for the journey to a potentially brighter future, Amandeep now heads for Kartarpur and finds time to reflect.
It never comes easy. It never. Does not matter how much effort you put, how much times you can demand it, but in today's political scenario between these two nations, Imran Khan took a very bold step and thanks to him that it is happening. And we believe it is going to be a wonderful step between both the nations and for the region.
This part of the Indian Punjab has benefited from recent developments. The equivalent of several million euros were invested in building the few kilometers of new road across the sandy plains in the approach to Kartarpur. The road was years in the planning, but even after the opening, it still resembles a building site, as does the futuristic-looking visitor center. Barely visible in the haze is the much-awaited destination, Kartarpur Sahib, now just 2 passport checkpoints away. Amandeep and Kirat have almost reached their final goal. Visitor numbers are limited to 5,000 a day. Now, a few weeks after the opening, the initial rush has subsided. Filming is not officially permitted beyond the gates, but the Indian authorities have provided an online computer animation of its passenger terminal. There are passport checks like at an airport, but no visa requirements.
It's hard to describe how I feel. I'm on the Pakistani side of the Punjab. I've just gone through immigration from the Indian side, and then I'll do the same on the Pakistani side. You can see the bus behind me. I'm about to get on it, and then I'll go to Kartarpur Sahib. I have a lot of mixed emotions right now. An entire generation has prayed to make it very easy for us to be here today. All we had to do was fill out a form at the border, and officials from both countries welcomed us. And now I would like to thank all of those who made this possible for us.
This is first glimpse of Shri Kartarpur Sahib, the Darshani duty. Marvelous structure, totally in sync with the Sikh Gurdwara architect.
Finally, the pilgrim's dream becomes reality.
ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਭਾਜੀ, ਬਹੁਤ-ਬਹੁਤ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ. Thank you.
Unfortunately, film cameras are not allowed inside the complex. But Kirat's photos and Amandeep's personal account do give us an impression of how well preserved the historical interior is, and of the other many visitors they met, people of all ages and social classes. The visitors are not only Sikhs. They also include people from all religions and regions of the subcontinent, curious to see the site.
I appreciate how people have showered us with love. We spent the first quarter of an hour just hugging and meeting everyone else. Everyone here is really passionate and full of life. Complete strangers come up to say hello. They tell us about their own village, and they ask us about ours.
Encounters with an impact lasting longer than the one-day visit.
We all have to be stakeholders in this. We have to put more effort into this initiative. This project needs to prevail, and we need more initiatives to be taken.
Kartarpur Sahib is open to visitors for just 8 hours a day. Indian citizens are not allowed to visit other temples on Pakistani soil. So the Singhs are now at the end of their pilgrimage. Back to India, where Amandeep's family are waiting in their village for a full report on his journey.
Mummy ji idhar.
One thing I observed, that no one there was trying to take the credit or saying they were behind the initiative. All of them said the same thing. This is Guru Nanak's land. This is your place. It is your right to come here. The word right was on everyone's lips. I found no one who said otherwise.
I'm excited and looking forward to telling everyone about my experience and encouraging them to go too. I know there are some people who are wary when they hear the name Pakistan, but I will motivate them to go and experience this.
Up until now, the Kartarpur corridor is only open to Indians traveling to Pakistan, but not vice versa. Amandeep would like to see Pakistani Sikhs benefiting too.
We need to reciprocate, which we can do on that very site in Kartarpur. There are already immigration counters on each side, so extending the opening in both directions is possible. There are also a lot of places in India that are important for Sikhs.
Friendship has to be from both sides. If India now responds positively to our initiative, we'll give them an even better response.
Mania Shankar Alyar from the opposition Congress Party in India does not share his optimism, especially when it comes to a commitment from Prime Minister Modi.
I think he is, and he's against this kind of a thing. It doesn't suit his party, and it doesn't suit his internal electoral support.
Should things between the two countries evolve towards peace, then he is a worthy candidate for the Nobel Peace Prize as well.
What is true is that Imran Khan, like lots of Pakistani leaders, and I would say most Indian leaders, has an eye on the Nobel Peace Prize, which would be the automatic prize that would be given for effecting a reconciliation between the two countries.
As a Sikh, Amandeep is definitely eager to promote reconciliation between the two nations.
Only through dialogue that is both uninterrupted and uninterruptible that we will be able to arrive at a resolution of these issues, including Kashmir.
What is clear is that the Kartarpur corridor has raised hopes for a more harmonious future in both parts of the Punjab and beyond.
This was a lifetime opportunity for me, and I am really happy I made the decision to go.